The warship Retribution's edge was Kayleth through and through, all sharp angles and aggressive design, built by a species that viewed combat as the highest form of art. In the tactical center, surrounded by holographic battle displays and crew members who regarded him with barely concealed suspicion, Corporal Ryan Hayes was the only human aboard. He stood behind Chief Tactical Officer Sera, watching her orchestrate a training simulation with the precision of a surgeon and the creativity of a composer. Her elongated ears shifted position constantly, reading data streams and crew emotions simultaneously in ways human officers needed multiple instruments to achieve. "Adjust firing solution by 0.3 degrees, she ordered, her accented English crisp despite it being her fourth language. "Compensate for stellar drift." Ryan made a note on his tactical pad, cross-referencing her instincts with the computational models. 6 months into this assignment, he'd learned that Sera's intuition outperformed most AI prediction algorithms. The Kayleth didn't trust easily, but once they did, that trust was absolute, which made him the most unlikely person aboard this vessel. "Corporal Hayes," Sera said without turning from her displays. "Assessment. Enemy formation suggests suicide tactics, ma'am. They're prioritizing damage over survival." Sera's ears rotated backward slightly, approval he'd learned. "Correct. Recommendation. Target their command ship first. Remove coordination, let desperation fragment their attack pattern. Execute." She gestured to the weapons officer, who implemented Ryan's suggestion with obvious reluctance. The simulation enemy fell apart exactly as predicted. After the exercise concluded, Sera's second-in-command approached her, speaking in rapid Kayleth that Ryan's translation implant struggled to follow. The tone was clear enough: disapproval, questions about why she continued to trust the human with sensitive tactical information. Sera's response was quieter but carried absolute authority. Ryan caught words like kesh'val, trusted companion, and his own name. The second-in-command retreated, dissatisfaction evident in every movement. "You make them uncomfortable," Sera observed once they were alone in the tactical center. "I'm aware, ma'am. They think I'm compromised, that trusting a human, any human, represents dangerous weakness." She finally turned to face him, those striking eyes searching his expression. "Are they right, Corporal?" "I can't answer what your people would consider compromise, ma'am. I can only tell you I've never lied to you, and I never will." Something that might have been a smile crossed her features. "That honesty is precisely why you're the only human I trust." She pulled up new mission parameters. "We're recovering artifacts from Kelesh Moon, ancient Kayleth heritage stored in a contested zone. I'm assigning you to vault security." Ryan studied the briefing, noting the ceremonial armor displayed prominently in the inventory. "Ma'am, given the cultural significance, I'm assigning you because of the significance." Sera's voice softened slightly. "That armor has been in my family for 17 generations. It represents everything my ancestors fought to build. I'm trusting you with it, Ryan, you specifically. Do you understand what that means?" He met her eyes. "Yes, ma'am. I won't let you down." Sera held his gaze a moment longer, then nodded. "I know you won't. That's why you're the only exception I make." The mission went wrong so fast that Ryan's combat instincts barely kept pace with catastrophe. Enemy forces hit the recovery site with 3 times projected numbers, overwhelming defenses before his team could properly extract the vault contents. "Fall back," Ryan ordered, watching his tactical display fracture into chaos. "Secure what you can and move." Explosions rocked the facility. Structural warnings screamed across every interface. The vault, reinforced to withstand orbital bombardment, shuddered under direct plasma fire, its containment systems failing in cascading sequence. Ryan had seconds to decide: attempt full recovery and risk his entire team, or evacuate with what they could carry and abandon the rest. The armor was too large, too heavy, too integrated into vault systems to extract quickly. His people were bleeding, dying, trapped between advancing enemy forces and failing infrastructure. He made the choice any human commander would make. Leave the vault. All personnel evacuate now. They got out with casualties but no deaths, scrambling aboard the extraction shuttle as the facility collapsed behind them. Only when they'd achieved orbit did Ryan allow himself to check the damage assessment. Environmental systems had failed in the vault before final structural collapse. Corrosive atmosphere from the moon's surface had flooded the chamber for approximately 4 minutes before containment re-established. 4 minutes was enough to destroy 17 generations of history. Ryan stood at attention in Sera's private quarters, watching her examine what remained of her family's armor. The intricate engravings that had chronicled centuries of achievements were dissolved into unreadable pits. The ceremonial metals, alloys that couldn't be replicated with modern techniques, had warped and corroded beyond any hope of restoration. She touched the ruined breastplate with trembling fingers, her ears flat against her skull in the Kayleth expression of profound grief. "Explain," she said quietly. Ryan delivered his report in the same tone he'd give any after-action briefing. Enemy numbers, tactical situation, decision matrix, outcome. He didn't make excuses, didn't try to justify the choice with circumstances, simply stated facts and accepted responsibility. "I prioritized personnel survival over artifact recovery, ma'am. The armor was lost as a direct result of that decision." Sera was silent for a long time, her fingers still tracing patterns that no longer existed on the corroded metal. 17 generations, she whispered finally. "My family's honor, forged in battle and ceremony, destroyed because you chose temporary lives over eternal legacy." Ryan stood perfectly still. "Yes, ma'am, I did. And given the same circumstances, I'd make the same choice again." The honesty hung between them like a blade. Sera's hand dropped from the armor, and when she looked at him, her eyes held something more complex than simple anger. "You understand what you've done, what this means for my family, for my standing. I understand it's unforgivable by your people's standards, ma'am. Then why?" Her voice cracked slightly. "Why not lie, claim the damage was unavoidable? Why confess your choice so readily? Because you trusted me, ma'am. The least I owe you is the truth." Sera turned away, and Ryan realized she was crying, silent tears that Kayleth warriors were trained from childhood never to show. The tribunal convened in Sera's command chamber with cold formality. Her family's demands had come through official channels: imprisonment, expulsion from Kayleth service, permanent ban from interaction with their people. The elder, transmitted via quantum link, regarded Ryan with eyes that held centuries of cultural weight. Sera presided in her full ceremonial regalia, every inch the Kayleth warrior her lineage demanded. Her second-in-command sat to her right, expression carved from stone. The elder's holographic presence dominated the left side of the table. They conducted initial proceedings in Kayleth, forcing Ryan to rely on his translation implant's imperfect rendering. The elder spoke of honor codes violated, sacred trust broken, the inherent danger of placing faith in outsiders who couldn't understand the weight of Kayleth heritage. When Ryan was permitted to speak in his own defense, he simply stood at attention and said, "I accept full responsibility for the armor's destruction. I have no mitigation to offer." The tribunal hadn't expected that. They'd prepared for excuses, for human emotionality, for attempts to deflect blame onto circumstances. They got only acknowledgement and acceptance. Sera watched him throughout, her ears moving through positions that seemed to cycle between grief, confusion, and something he couldn't identify. Finally, the tribunal turned to her for judgment. She did something unexpected. She switched to English, ensuring Ryan would understand every word without technological mediation. Corporal Hayes made a combat decision that prioritized living warriors over historical artifacts. He valued breathing souls over silent metal. Her voice carried clearly through the chamber. "By Kayleth tradition, this is dishonor. By our codes, this is unforgivable. Ryan braced himself for the sentence he knew was coming. Instead, Sera continued. But I assigned this duty knowing Ryan was human, knowing his people measure honor differently than ours, knowing his training would drive different decisions than a Kayleth warrior would make in identical circumstances. Her eyes met his directly. I placed him in a position where his honor and mine would inevitably conflict. The failure is mine, not his. The elder's holographic form leaned forward sharply. You defend the human who destroyed your family's legacy. I defend the warrior who saved 6 lives at the cost of a symbol. Sera's voice hardened. If our codes demand we value symbols over souls, perhaps we should examine those codes more carefully. Her second-in-command stood abruptly. You're compromised by inappropriate attachment. This human has corrupted your judgment. No, Sera said quietly. This human has shown me what judgment looks like when filtered through different values, and I refuse to punish him for being what he is. She turned back to the elder's projection. I offer formal kesh'val bond. Make his honor mine, his choices my responsibility, his consequences my burden. The chamber erupted in chaos. The elder's voice cut through the protest like a plasma blade. You would bind yourself permanently to a human who destroyed 17 generations of your family's history. You would make his dishonor yours forever. I would make his honor mine, Sera corrected, her voice steady despite the magnitude of what she was proposing. He saved 6 warriors. He chose life over legacy. If our people consider that dishonorable, then I question what honor actually means. She drew her ceremonial blade, a weapon nearly as old as the destroyed armor, passed down through her family line for 16 generations. Its edge caught the chamber's light, impossibly sharp despite its age. Sera extended the blade to Ryan, holding it across both palms in a formal presentation that made her second-in-command gasp audibly. Accept this, Ryan Hayes, and my honor becomes yours. Your choices become mine. We rise together or fall together, bound by kesh'val until death or dishonor separates us. Her ears were angled forward, absolute sincerity in Kayleth body language. I'm offering you everything I am, trusting you with something more valuable than any armor. Ryan stared at the blade, understanding flooding through him with terrible clarity. Accepting meant permanent binding to Kayleth's service, meant becoming responsible for honor codes he barely understood, meant tying his fate to Sera's in ways that transcended any human military oath. Refusing would be safer. Accept whatever punishment the tribunal decreed, return to human service, leave this impossible situation behind. The blade lay between them, ancient metal gleaming with possibility and consequence. Ryan reached out slowly and closed his hand around the grip. The elder's holographic projection flickered with what might have been rage or shock. This is unconscionable. I will report this decision to the High Council. Your family will. My family will adapt, Sera said calmly. As I have. Her second-in-command stood. I cannot serve under a commander who makes such choices. I request immediate transfer. Granted, Sera said without hesitation. The tribunal dissolved in chaos, threats, protests, formal declarations of disapproval. But Sera remained focused solely on Ryan, speaking quietly beneath the tumult. You broke my armor, destroyed 17 generations of carefully preserved history. And now I'm trusting you with something even more precious, my future, my honor, my standing among my people. She placed her hand over his where it gripped the ancient blade. Do you understand what you're accepting? No, ma'am, Ryan admitted. Not entirely. I'll probably make more mistakes, dishonor you again in ways I don't even recognize. I know. A slight smile crossed her features, but you'll do it honestly. You'll make human choices for human reasons, and I'll defend them as mine. That's what kesh'val means. Not that we're identical, but that we trust each other enough to be different together. Ryan looked at the blade in his hand, feeling its weight physically and metaphorically. Your people will hate this, hate me more than they already do. Some will, Others will eventually understand. Sera's grip tightened slightly. But I've made my choice. You trusted me with truth when lies would have been easier. Now I'm trusting you with my honor, even after you broke my armor. Because trust isn't about never failing. It's about staying even after the failure happens. The quantum link disconnected as the elder terminated the connection in obvious fury. The second-in-command exited without looking back. Somewhere in the ship's communication systems, messages were already being transmitted to Kayleth High Command, to Sera's family, to authorities who would question and challenge and potentially punish this decision. But in the command chamber, two warriors from different worlds stood together, bound by a trust that had survived its own breaking and emerged stronger for having been tested against reality. "I won't let you down again," Ryan said quietly. Sera's ears rotated forward. "Trust, acceptance, hope. Yes, you will. You're human. I'm Kayleth. We'll fail each other in countless small ways." She smiled. "But we'll stay anyway." "That's the promise. Not perfection, just presence." Ryan nodded, understanding settling into his bones. He'd broken her armor, destroyed irreplaceable history through a choice that seemed obvious to his human training but unforgivable to her culture. And she'd responded